for the beginning, would you like to introduce yourselves in our readers about what RBS is doing and what are your position?
Sure. Yeah, so my name's Harrison Nguyen. I've been working here with RBS for about 5 years now. So RBS is a terminal operating system provider. More widely speaking, we're a software provider for all different types of terminals, and we write software that help manage and optimize an overall terminal's operations. As for my personal background, my background is in computer science, and I actually spent time in the software development team, actually creating the software and programming the software. And then about 2 years ago, I transitioned over to the client-facing side, and now I look after all the business development in the company.
Okay, that's great. And how have terminal operating systems evolved in recent years, and how new technologies and digital systems have contributed to that change?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. I think when TOS was originally founded, probably about 50 years ago, it was very much designed as let's say, a basic tool to help people operate the terminal and keep track of the terminal better. But in more recent years, it's definitely evolved into being a more higher level kind of system that can do things automatically and with a lot more intelligence. And I think there are some trends around that have supported such a increase. Number one would be, as I said, the increase in automation. So with not just better software, but better equipment, there has been an increase in overall automation, both at a process level and at a physical level. And that has been definitely a core part of the TOS and how that's evolved. That's number one. Number two, there's also been a lot of new technologies in terms of hosting. So nowadays you see a lot of cloud implementation. So that's any type of implementation where the server sits virtually off-site, so not on a local on-prem server. And that has led to a lot of different methods of implementation and a lot of flexibility over around its TOS's usage and TOS's overall importance. That's number two. I think another important one, kind of linking to both of those, would be IoT. So now with better hardware, there's a lot of integration between all these different sensors, all these different equipment, all these different technologies that basically create a more complete and comprehensive picture for terminals to operate better. And I think lastly, as a very recent trend, is now looking at an optimization layer. So with the complexities that terminals experience today, larger yard densities, faster vessel calls, it becomes almost not impossible, but very difficult for humans to manage this massive influx of data and decision making. And because of that, now they're looking at optimization layers and almost intelligent features that can make these decisions for the terminals and the terminal planners. And so that's where we really see some of the core trends and changes over the last 10 to 15-ish years that will continue to influence this industry greatly.
Is a basic difference compared to the past that nowadays a container terminal actually cannot operate without a terminal operating system?
Yeah, and I think that's completely true. I think especially as volume has grown, so as basically more containers or more boxes have been shipped around, it just becomes almost impossible to operate a terminal efficiently without a well-working TOS, especially I would say anything above 200,000 or 300,000 TEUs a year, it becomes almost impossible to do so. Yes.
Okay. And what are the new challenges that are arising from the new technologies in your industry, of course?
Yeah, of course. There's as with all things, there's a lot of different challenges.
I mean, cybersecurity risks and this kind of challenges.
Yeah, I mean, cybersecurity is also one of the main points. I think with all these automation and all these intelligent features, I think there's been now, let's say, not over dependence, but a heavier reliance on the systems. And because of that, it then emphasizes its importance in the overall landscape of terminal operation. And now, because of
Mhm.
that, it it becomes the focus of a lot of attacks, and that in itself is a risk because the outside and external malicious people are more targeted towards a toss and the relevant systems. Other parts that would be at risk is because the systems become more complex. There's more aspects, more parts of it. It becomes a bigger job of the vendors to make sure every part of the system is secure. So again, to
Mhm.
summarize, the first one would be over dependence on it makes it more targeted. And number two, increased complexity makes it more difficult to manage cybersecurity as a whole. So that's what I would see the two parts being the main issues. The last part would probably, if I had to add one more, is about going back to the IoT, about connecting all these systems and integrating it with different systems and different technologies. There may
Mhm.
be exposed endpoints and exposed areas that could lead to potential risk as well. So that goes together with the complexity, but overall, it's about how do the vendors manage and understand all these points to make sure that the system is secure and that the terminal is secure.
Okay. And do you see any increased demand during crisis periods? Let's say, COVID-19 period or Ukraine war more recently, with all these tariffs announcement, etc.
Yeah, okay. That's a very interesting question. I think overall, in terms of the global market for terminal operating systems and logistics in general, even during crisis periods, we don't see a massive change in overall
Mhm.
demand. Uh, that's just due to the importance of global trade. I mean, imports and exports are very much the lifeblood of the modern globalized economy. However, I will say that there is uh, geographical changes. So you mentioned things about like the Ukraine war, and there's also what we known as the Red Sea crisis. Because of localized scenarios like that, there will result in geographical changes in demand. So if I go back to the Red Sea crisis, um, that region was impacted obviously heavily. However, what has happened is because they went around all the vessels had to go around the Cape of Africa. So we then saw
Mhm.
more demand in the African region because more volume was going around that way. And so you can start to see, okay, yes, geographically it shifted from the Red Sea area down to Africa, but overall logistics and global trade I still maintain very strong and a very high demand. And the last part I will note about this is that I mentioned cloud-based TOS before. With the whole cloud-based and system automations, I think there's also now been an understanding that TOS is a very essential thing to all terminals. So demand remained relatively constant, if not growing, across the
Okay.
board. And so that's why it hasn't really been affected by global crisis. That would be my take on such a question.
Okay. And is there a different approach from your company on the integrating process uh, on an established, let's say, container terminal compared to a terminal, more local one with lower volumes?
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely there's, I think, a slightly different approach because at the end of the day, a lot of it comes down to the experience of the terminal and um, what they've been able to achieve before. So, say for example, a very large terminal that is looking to do a new implementation. the level of understanding and the level of sophistication is already there, so you can delve into deeper topics and more intelligent topics in terms of the system, not in terms of the functions, but more in terms of the actual intelligent features in the system. And then for, let's say, more greenfield or newer terminals, or terminals that have no experience at all, there's definitely a more education approach where you have to guide them through some steps and help them to understand certain things before we get to the higher end features about automation and stuff like that. So overall, we still follow a process that is about collaboration and partnership, but the stages and the type of information we convey is always dependent on the terminal and their original understanding.
Okay, I see. Okay, let's focus more now on RBS and your products. Would you like to let us know what is your latest product and how this product use new technologies to improve terminal operations?
Yeah, thank you for that. So the latest product we have is called TopX Intelligent 3D. So what it is, we call it an intelligent digital twin. So the digital twin aspect is quite easy to explain. It's about replicating exactly as you see the terminal in a digital environment. So wherever each crane is, wherever each truck, wherever each container is, you will see it as it is in the system. Now, the intelligent part is the more interesting thing. So it is intelligent in multiple ways. Number one, it can do what we call predictive analytics, so simulating future scenarios. And then number two, more importantly, it then can identify and solve problems in relation to that. So it makes suggestions on how to make your terminal operations better and more efficient. Hence the name intelligent. And what it is offering is really a new way of thinking about terminal operation. Because with this predictive analytics, you're now trying to solve problems before they even occur. So the analogy I like to give is that if you go out and you know it's sunny, all good. But if it's raining and you didn't know that, then you're going to run a problem. It's got to be wet and miserable and sad, right? But now imagine you knew it's raining before you actually got out. Now you can actually do things to address that. You can bring an umbrella, you might take a car instead, something like that. So your overall day is better. The same thing is for a terminal operation. If you know there's going to be congestion around a specific block, or there's going to be a crane hanging for too long, you can do things before that actually occurs, so that in the end, you don't even have the problem at all. So it's a very, very new way of thinking. And what we're offering is, with this system, it's going to be sitting on any type of terminal and including any other TOS providers. So we're very open to adding this optimization layer on top of all these different types of system infrastructures to bring benefit to the terminal. So what we want to do is not replace anything at the terminal, not change any of their processes. We just want to add something on top to improve it and help them solve problems before they even occur. So that would be one of our latest products. And this really is the summary of all of our research over 30, 35 years, and incorporating all the latest technologies such as AI, machine learning, things I mentioned before, automation and cloud-based technologies. It's really the summation and the culmination of all of those things that we've been researching for the last few decades.
Yeah, I see. Okay, that sounds interesting. And
Thank you.
what about your strategies? I mean, what is this that set RBS apart from your competition?
That's a good point. I think that comes down to, I would say, two main things in my mind. Number one, especially in relation to the last question, is a very product-centric approach. We at RBS have been always dedicated to building the best product and incorporating all the technologies of the current time to build what we like to call a future-proof product. It is also the reason why a lot of our customers have been with us for quite some time. even more than 20 years, some of our customers, because we have a very, very product-centric and product-focused approach in the overall way we do things. So it's all about providing the best for the terminals. And then number two is about, I would say, the people, our relationships and experience. So internally, we have people who have been working with us for more than 20, if not 30 years now, that have the overall experience from the software side as well as the operational side. So that really comes into that. And on the external side, we also have the great relationship with the customers. So one of our slogans is, your success is our commitment. It's all about creating a partnership where we have win-win situations with the customers. So we don't really see them as just we're supplier and then you're the consumer. It's about we're in things together and want to bring success to everyone together. So that idea of relationship experience combined with our product-centric approach really sets us apart from a lot of our other competitors.
Okay. And what would you say that are the key objectives of RBS in 2025? And also, what is your vision about the next, let's say, 5 years?
Yeah, very good. I think, yeah, those are some very interesting questions. Number one, with, let's say, a more short term in 2025, we're looking to roll out this new product, the Topics Intelligent 3D, in as many terminals as possible. And we see a lot of interest already. So we can see that as a very exciting thing for us. We are also going into the general cargo and ro-ro markets by the end of this year. So we will be looking to do some implementations in that space. In terms of our, let's say, more medium to long term, so the 5 to 10 year kind of approach, we see these new products, especially this optimization layer, this Intelligent 3D, really taking off and taking over the global market. This year's a lot of been education and helping people to understand this new approach. And I think in the 5 years, we will really see it spread across everyone. And because of the way it's designed to sit on top of any existing architecture, it will be very, very prevalent. In terms of other market trends, we also see a lot of inland terminals coming up because it's been very, very heavily invested in by a lot of governments. So things like the Middle Corridor, there's been a railway connecting China down to Singapore. So a lot of inland terminals as well. So we see our TOS being implemented in a lot of greenfields around there. And overall, it's about an increase, an even more increase in dependence on technologies like the TOS, like the optimization of Topics Intelligent 3D, and eventually automation. So I think those are the trends we see over the next 5 years, and that is our objectives overall in relation to that.
Okay, that's brilliant. Harrison, thank you very much for all your information and the insights that you shared with us.
Okay, thank you so much for this interview.